Kia ora, Lara here, and I am jumping in with a YouTube process video for our artisan hop. So this is a hop we're doing over on Instagram. We're just over halfway through our year as an Artisan Design Team Member for Stampin Up, and we just wanted to share what it's like to be an artisan, or share a little bit about what we love about being in this role and doing the creative things that we do and hanging out with each other. And as part of this, I decided I would document some photos about the artisan team. So the big one in the middle there is the reel that was used by Stampin Up the photo that was used by Stampin Up to introduce the team. And we had some maps on the next few photos that sort of showed all around the world that we've all come from. And the other photo that's over to the left there was a gorgeous wee a stamp and some bits and pieces that came in a tin. That was the first kind of artisan thing that I received, and it was really gorgeous to get that. And actually the stamp is probably one of my favourite pieces that we've collected as part of being an Artisan Design Team Member over this time, as well as all the gorgeous supplies that arrive sort of every couple of months, with a couple of big boxes at different times of the year as well, with some good basic supplies. So I wanted to create something bright, something colourful, something that uses the new in colours. I was privileged to be at the convention over in Brisbane where the new in colours were released, and they are absolutely gorgeous. So I decided I wanted to play with the idea of a paintbrush and some flowers. So I wanted the paintbrushes are part of a Trusty Tools set. So this paintbrush here, you've got the stamps and your dies, and what I've done is I've used the two-tone cardstocks in the in colours, and I have stamped with the same ink colour on each of the cards. So I've used for here the Timid Tiger stamp on the Timid Tiger two-tone cardstock. So I was able to choose whether I wanted the dark side or the light side. Now I am playing around with the Extraordinary Flora washi tape here, and this tape is so much fun. It not only is it the gorgeous flowers and things that are on it, you've kind of got two colour options with it, but there is also a coordinating die, so I can create some rather lovely flowers. You can see how that sort of fits over there. So I'm going to stick the washi tape down in these strips, and then I'm going to go over the top and then use the die cut to create a whole lot of the flowers in these colours. So press it down, and I am going to then cut it into some strips, and these I think was about 3 inches wide each of them. Now you could stick this on different coloured cardstocks, you could stick it on some of the acetate, all sorts of options there. So I'm just cutting off the pieces of the colours that I don't want to use for this. So I wanted sort of the more, I guess the warmer toned colours that were there, and pulling out the handy little mini Stampin' Emboss machine. This is quite cute, and love how this die does just fit right through it. So rolling that through, and you'll see how these gorgeous little flowers come out. So that's created, they've kind of got that a matte kind of sheen to them, which is quite a nice texture, a different element in there. What I will show you soon is that there's also a stamp that can go with this die, and you can then colour the flowers whatever you want using that Stampin' die. So what I'm doing here with the paintbrushes is I'm going to sort of arrange these sort of wee flowers in little clusters and little groups. So part of being an Artisan Design Team Member is that we get these a design brief every month, and we've got either product or colours or different items that we work with as part of that design brief, and we get to create something. And I just wanted to take that whole element of building something up and changing things around a little bit with that. So what I'm doing here is I'm just using the black StazOn, because I wasn't sure if I was going to colour these stamps in or not, whether I'd use watercolours or blended markers or what I was going to use. So I am just stamping this a few times. You'll notice that first one was a bit light. I had sort of waited around with where I was going to press it and how it was going to look, so I possibly won't use that piece there, but now I'm just sort of roughly cutting these, and they will match perfectly with that same die that was able to cut out of the washi tape. So, I was talking about the colourful paintbrushes anyway, and then got interrupted by seeing what I was doing here on the video. And I wanted sort of to bring in that colourfulness or the colour nature of it all, but with the paintbrush, the idea of being creative. And so I'm actually you'll see here that I've cut the brushes off the paintbrushes, and I'm basically going to make the florals part of that. Now this paper in the background, the two-tone cardstock that I have used, does look quite a bit darker than what you would think it is. It's called Secret Sea. It's a beautiful sort of deep colour. I guess when you think of Secret Sea, think really deep down in the ocean, and you've sort of got those really dark colours, and it is quite gorgeous. I am going to sort of fussy cut some of these flowers out of here as well. I decided that these would sort of be the right shape for popping onto my paintbrushes as well. So you'll see here I'm just sort of building up the elements that I'm going to make. I guess you could say that the florals are the brush part of these paintbrushes. But just playing around with that, so sticking them down. I did end up making a few extras because I wasn't sure how many I would need in the end, and I think they'll be quite gorgeous on some cards or some other smaller projects as well. Now this paper here is from a designer series paper set, which is called Turtley Cute, and don't be deceived by the turtles. They're not what completely. So one side is very turtly, and the other side has some different patterns and designs on it. And this one is a paper, I think, from Celebratory Sips, and I'm just adding a little bit of tearing, just bringing in that nice white, the whiteness of the edges, and just roughing it up a little bit. So I did that with that strip that's gone across the middle, and doing it with this piece of paper here. So because this isn't part of our design brief, it's part of a hop that the artisans are doing, I can use anything I want to, essentially, I guess. So it's quite nice just to be able to mix things up and pull in some different colours and different pieces that you wouldn't normally necessarily put together, or they're not bought together in a set. So this is again from the Turtley Cute designer series papers, and it's sort of that greenier version of them. So just tucking those up the top, and then also down the bottom as well. So I was talking earlier about the photos. So that one in the middle was the design team photo that was used for social media, then a gorgeous stamp that I was sent as part of being an Artisan Design Team member, and the photo on the right is the current team from the South Pacific. So I'm there in the pink, and we have 3 other gorgeous ladies from Australia, and we were able to meet up at the convention over in Brisbane, and we were also able to meet up with I guess, I don't want to say past Artisan Design Team members, because once an artisan, always an artisan is kind of the catchphrase, but it was awesome being able to go out for dinner and meet up with other people who had taken on this role in the past as well. So here I'm using the white craft ink pad, and I'm just sort of wanting that kind of chalkboardy look, just sort of a little bit of interest, another element to pop in to the into the layout, so it's just coming in from behind and it's not just that straight Secret Sea. So now putting it all together using the tear and tape adhesive on these sort of bigger strips and bigger pieces, and getting ready to stick those down sort of the way I had it to start with. Now at this point I'm not really sure how it's all coming together, but it's just fun just getting in there and just playing with some of these gorgeous colours and these papers and seeing what will eventually come out. So you can see there the back of that very turtley paper. There are some turtles there. No turtles were harmed in the making of this layout, well, they kind of were, because I hid them and possibly cut them in half because I wasn't looking at that side of the paper, but anyway, there, that's another point. Anyway, so just curling up these edges, just adding another little layer of texture, and I do go in and add some more stamps into that onto that background again as well once it's all together. So just sticking these down and having a bit of an adhesive challenge, and then I need to replace the roller inside the roller tape there. So back to a little bit more tear and tape adhesive. It was easier to grab from behind and carry on. Now I decided to add a little bit of tearing, bringing in these wee bits of paper sort of peeking out from behind. So I tore it down at the front, and then I am going to just stick these pieces there, and I'm going to do one as well just on that bottom right hand corner. It just adds another little interest point, another little place for your eye to wander and have a look, and it's a great way to use up some little scraps as well. So bending them over and pulling them down a little bit more and having a look at those photos again and how that's all coming together. So I'm going to mat each of the photos on some of the basic white cardstock, and this is again just a little that's the leftover pieces that I had from when I was sticking the washi on some of the cardstock before, and so it's in just matting my photos is another way just to use up some of the little scrap pieces or some of the bits that otherwise might just sit in my shelf for a while waiting to be used. I was asked when I shared this photo first with with the South Pacific group of us, one of them asked where I print my photos, and I just use my Canon Selfie most of the time. They aren't the highest quality photos, but they're great for scrapbooking these little memories, and for actually getting a photo printed and sticking it onto a page, and just getting it out there, because often our photos just sit in our cameras, and with our phones being our cameras and our phones always being with us, we can have a huge number of photos and nothing ever gets done with them. So being able to print them pretty much when I want them and how I want them and the size I want them is a nice advantage, and I think in some ways I create more because I have that flexibility and that option to do all the different things. So another thing that I often do with my photos is I will also pop pattern paper in behind them. So I have just put these onto this pattern paper, and then I am just cutting around it roughly. They don't need to be perfect size, they don't need to be super straight, because as you can see I'm just roughing the edges all up anyway in my sort of roll up distressing kind of way that I seem to do for most of my pictures. So I'm going to just use the tear and tape adhesive for these two on the side and just getting them stuck down. And then the square one, I'm going to use some of the dimensionals on here because I just want it to be able to lift up a little bit because it's going to be sitting on top of those other photos, and also because I want to be able to tuck my extra embellishments and the paintbrushes at some various points under, around it, and all that kind of thing, so that you'll see that come together very shortly. So here we have the basicness, or the I guess the foundation of the page all ready to go, and it's time to bring in some of the stickers that I have on the sheets from the scrapbooking workshop kits that came out, and you'll notice that some of these flower shapes match the ones that I was fussy cutting before from that pattern paper. So I'm just going to put a few of these around, adding some different clustered elements and just choosing a few and thinking about where I want to put them. So when I put the tear and tape adhesive behind those other photos, I tend not to go right up to the edge. I like to create spaces that I can poke things into and that kind of thing. So you'll see here that I'm sort of playing with that paintbrush and where they might sit and how they might work, because I wasn't fully sure how this was all going to come together, and sort of liking how these pieces are coming out, how the florals sort of come out from the paintbrushes. And you'll notice that I didn't end up colouring that stamp, and so I've got some of the coloured ones from the washi, and I've also got a mixture in there of just the black outline of the flowers and some white. So liking how these paintbrushes are sort of going to tuck in and be a part of this page. So now I need to actually put some of these together to see how they're all going to work. So I'm putting a bit of tape at the back of the paintbrush and then sticking down some of the pieces on the top, and I've gone ahead and I've sort of made those paintbrush clusters off screen, and now I am just sort of sticking them onto the page with my green Tombow. So I am using each of the ink colours. So this pinky one there is Strawberry Slush, then I have got some Darling Duckling, and next up we have Cloud Cover, and then the Timid Tiger. So I didn't use the Secret Sea because that's the background colour, and just wanted to bring in those other colours on the paintbrushes in the front, sort of on top, I guess, rather than in the front necessarily. So here we have quite a few wee sort of clustered elements, and time for a little bit more stamping. Now I decided that as we're sort of documenting this journey, that I would put in the sharing what I love, loving what I do stamp, which was from quite a cool set, which I will link the name of that below, but I just can't quite remember it. It was something like creating, loving, crafting, or something like that, but as I said, I'll link that below. So I had already pre-cut these mini alphabet out, and so I'm just using some leftover letters and I'm forming the word create. So to create these lettering, I use some of the foam adhesive in behind some of my two-tone Strawberry Slush cardstock, and then I put it through the die cutting machine and it creates these nice sort of foam puffy stickers, which is really cool. And now I'm just adding on a few more of a few embellishments, and these, again, I've forgotten, they were Summer Fun or something like that, but they're kind of, they're last year's in colours, some of them, I think, and they're just a nice, bold, nice sort of, nice colours, and just adds a nice little pop of interest into some different points around the layout. So, looking at it now, it feels quite full on, but I guess our year as an artisan is quite full on as well. Sometimes it's quite tricky getting the photos that we need. Sometimes, for me anyway, at this time of year, we're 2 days away from our shortest day of the year, so the daylight hours are getting less. I am also a primary teacher, so I'm often leaving home when it's dark and getting home as the dark is falling as well, so I'm looking forward to getting a little bit more daylight. Anyway, I hope you'll pop over to Instagram and have a look at the hop and what all of the fabulous artisans have been working on. And here's just a few sort of close-up images of the final layout that I created. Applications, if you are a demonstrator, are open now. You need sort of a semi-active Instagram and or Facebook feed as part of your application for reviewing and seeing what you create, and if you're interested and if this is something that you would like to give a go, jump on to the Stampin' Up site, if you're a demonstrator that is, and have a look and see if you're willing to pop in your entry.